If you're a heat and air conditioning technician or even a salesperson, what is the repeat and approve method and how can you use it to work through objections? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Silverman, coming to you live from Sacramento, California on a perfect day to talk about sales and business and a fantastic day to talk about you. I'm coming to you live from Sacramento. Okay, in sales, we all get objections and there's like 7 of them. And as a sales pro, you need to know that those 7 start combining together, and that's how you get multiple objections. And the repeat and approve method does a couple of things for you. One, it allows for you to have a conversation about what the concern is so you can work through the objection, not deal with, work through. Those are 2 separate things. Working through is collaborative. Deal with is I'm just going to kind of force you into this, okay? Which leads to a cancellation, which leads to complaints. Now, if we know that there's mainly 7 objections, there's 7 of them in the sales process, with the top 3 being your price is too high, I've got to think about it, I've got to talk to somebody else, okay? You absolutely should have the skills, the talents, and the capabilities to work through these 7 freaking objections with the people that you meet with and know, like, okay, they're going to say this. It's really straightforward. So the repeat and approve method, there is going to be different variations of this. You might have heard a different one. And in the future, you might hear of another one. Just like objections, there's hybrids. I would say find the one that fits your personality, okay? My version may not be exactly the one that you want to use, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But understand that if you're going to use a method like this, there's a couple things you need to know. This isn't about speed. This isn't about how fast can I get to the close, how fast can I overcome or deal with or work through the objection. I prefer work through, okay? It's not about the speed. It's about, can I communicate? And sometimes communication takes a little bit longer. And so for some people, like, hey, Scott, can we make this faster? No, don't. That's a huge mistake. And this is super importante for you to not make this mistake. Slow down. Slow down, okay? This is like one of the biggest keys. Vocal pitch and tone, and slow down. You're going to go kind of like downward on your vocal pitch and tone, and you are going to slow down. Now, before we continue, you should absolutely join my email publication. Go right here, drop this URL into a browser, drop in your name, your email address, maybe your phone number. I'll give you the goods, not in the Facebook group, not in the YouTube channel. It's an email publication. You get emails from me, okay? So repeat and approve. You're meeting with Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Jones, and they say, hey, Scott, I got to think about it, okay? Now, the first thing out of my mouth should be like a pause for a couple of seconds, like 2001, 2002, 2003, shaking my head like, yeah, completely understand. I get you. I hear you. That makes sense, right? Repeat and approve. We're going to get on their side. We're going to work through this objection with them. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to say is what it sounds like, or what I hear you saying, what this feels like. I'm going to summarize what they just shared with me. It sounds like you want some extra time to think through that. Do I hear you correctly? And they're going to come back and they're going to say, yeah. Okay. Now you're going to turn this into an if-then scenario. If we could figure out a way to make this work for you, to possibly do this sooner, is that something you'd be open to, right? You're going to use squishy words, possibly, maybe, kind of. So it's going to look like this. Person over here, Scott, got to think about it. Me over here, completely hear you, gotcha, understand. That makes total sense. I'm going to pick one of those phrases. I'm going to summarize what I hear you saying, what it sounds like, what it feels like, what it looks like, okay? Pick one of those. Is that you need just a little bit of extra time. Now, I'm going to use some squishy words. I'm going to ask a question. If there was a possible way for us to work together to bridge this gap, is that something you would be open to hearing? Buyer over here, yes. Right? You could slow this even down and ask a couple more questions. But remember, this isn't about speed. This is about having the conversation to work through and find the answer. And when you figure that out, using the repeat and approve method can make sense for you. Now, you can extend this process on. You could ask a couple more questions. I'm emphasizing on purpose, it's not about the speed. It's not about the speed. Remember, if you have a 100-minute sales presentation, this is really easy math, it's about 10 to 20% of time that it takes to close that deal for most salespeople. So a 10 to 20-minute closing process on 100 minutes. Well, the way that you do that is you slow things down and you have conversations and you use things like the repeat and approve method. There you go. You got one of three things to do from here. Just one of three. Find the subscribe button. Click on it, and every time I send out a video, you'll get an update. 2, hit follow. 3, you know what you got to do. Share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.